Hey everybody, I'm back with another review of my recently purchased Casio MDV-106 Duro. This is a cool watch. It's a cheap watch, but it's a good watch. So let's start with the dimensions. It's actually pretty big. It's got a diameter of 44 millimeters. It's got a case thickness of 12 millimeters. It's got a lug-to-lug length of 48 millimeters. And it has a lug width of 22 millimeters. It's a pretty substantial watch. It weighs, I think, 3.3 ounces, roughly, on the original rubber strap. With the bracelet, I actually haven't measured it, but it feels even heavier. And this is a dive watch that's rated to 200 meters. It's not ISO rated, but I have seen on several occasions people taking these down scuba diving, and they have held up just as well as your 4- and 5-figure Swiss dive watches. And I think that is, more than respectable. That is admirable for a watch that costs, I think, $44. So for $44, you get a stainless steel, solidly made watch with a screw-down crown, unidirectional moving bezel, and an engraved case back, not laser etched, but engraved, for under $50. I don't know how Casio is making any money on this, but this is kind of amazing. My first impressions of this watch were that I was kind of taken aback at how well made it is. For under $50, I was expecting something chintzy, with kind of warped reflections on the steel, something kind of thin feeling, a bezel that had a lot of play, secondhand that wouldn't line up, a crown that's screwed and crooked, and I didn't get any of that. The reflections are crisp on the side, and okay, it's not Zaratsu polishing like you see on a Grand Seiko or a Casio Oceanus, but it's well done. The bezel, it looks to me like it's some sort of enamel. I'm not sure if it's anodized, but it works. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cool that as it wears down, it'll look a little more used. It'll look like the tool watch that it is. The crown, it screws in. It's not super refined, but it doesn't have the coarseness that I've experienced on, say, like my Casio SRPC 39, so it screws in well. And then the bezel, you can see the edges. It's got a nice coin edge, very well done, and I believe it's not sure if it's a 120 click, it might be a 90 click bezel, but it moves well. The clicks sound a little bit tinny and hollow, but it sounds about as good as any other watch that I've played with for under $1,000, or maybe under $500. And then it's got a little bit of play, maybe 1 second on the chapter ring worth, but nothing horrible. Sorry, I'm just going to move that back for the folks that are a little bit OCD and can't stand to see a bezel that's cockeyed throughout a review. And then the second hand lines up with the indices. And that's awesome. And what movement is here? I think it's a Casio module 2784, and I'm not sure who makes that. I'm curious to see whether it's Casio or Miyota, because Casio uses a lot of Miyota movements in their pieces. But this is a cool watch. There's so much to like about it. I like the marlin on the front that denotes that this is a dive watch. I don't think the dial's too cluttered. A lot of people say it's a little bit too derivative of the Submariner, and I don't really see it. I think a dive watch as a genre has a lot of similar features. I think this watch looks pretty uniquely Casio. Definitely does not look like a Submariner to me, and I would not mistake this for a Submariner. So I don't think this is an homage to a Submariner or any other dive watch. It's just a well-made watch. Probably my only complaints with this, I find, and I'm so sorry if I say this and you can't ever unsee it, but I find the hands to be a little bit too short. I think rather than 44 millimeters, they could have made this watch 42 millimeters, and it would have been perfect. I think the hands are a little bit boring, especially the minute hand. And then a lot of people have complained about the lume. Not that I dislike the lume. I'm okay with it. It is not even close to Casio's Lumi Bright or, a Citizen BN0151 or something with Super Luminova BGW9. But as far as longevity throughout the night, I think it's about on par with Super Luminova C1, maybe a little bit less. But it's definitely there, and for me, in the middle of the night, I've been able to turn over and see the time just fine. So to the folks that say that it has little to no lume, I'm not really sure if I don't know, maybe we're not seeing the same thing, or maybe Casio has changed the formulation of the lume on here. But let me show you guys. Charge it up. It's definitely visible. Let me turn the other light off. Give me a sec. But it is definitely visible, and there is definitely lume there. There we go. And it's a greenish color, more akin to C3. Again, this is my white balance going a little wacky, but the lume definitely works. And under $50, or for under $50, I don't know if you can really expect too much. But as far as complaints go, I think that's about it. Even the strap that came with it, it's a standard, I think it's a urethane strap. I didn't like it, but it felt fine. I mean, obviously I changed mine to a Milanese mesh, as I do with a lot of my watches, and that worked well for me. I mean, even the fact that you get a screw back case back, or a screw and case back, I don't even have that on my Casio Oceanus, and I love that thing to death. And the fit and finish on there, really, it's on par with my Grand Seiko, so I can't complain about that. But screw and case back, really cool. Let me show you on wrist. I've got 7-inch wrists, and I think it fits me perfectly, especially with that 48 millimeter lug to lug. Oops, sorry. Struggling a little bit here with the gloves on. Yeah, on wrist, I think it works really well. Let me move the camera out a bit. Definitely no lug overhang. So I'd say if you've got a 7-inch or above wrist, I think this will work great for you. And then I don't know if I mentioned, but the dial has a really cool sort of sunburst effect that is also well done. So I don't know if there's much more to say about this. For under $50, you can't go wrong. I mean, for under $50, this is an awesome watch. And fit and finish, functionality, I think rivals watches that are 6 or 7 times as expensive. Functionality-wise, I mean, this can hold its own against the best dive watches out there. So if you're on the fence about this, or if you're even considering one, I think you should definitely pick one up, because this is a gem for sure. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time.